Welcome everyone to this edition of our EasySPC Community Forum here at BCN. For those of you who have maybe not joined one of these sessions before or unaware of what it entails, etc., I'll just give you some real brief context. So these forums are designed for our EasySPC customer base all around the world. So they used to be 10 o'clock in GMT time zone, but we've got quite a few from the US who like to join now as well. So we have moved it to the afternoon to fit those diaries as well. So the idea of the forum is just a nice safe space for you all to share best practices for SPC, how you're utilizing SPC in your organizations, the good, the bad, what's working well, whether that's part of improvement projects or board reporting and performance reporting or anything else really. We do look to have some demonstrations from different customers and organizations around the world and how they're using EasySPC too. And we also provide updates in regards to EasySPC and the continuous developments that we're doing, what's on the roadmap, what's happening next, etc. Today's call is going to be more along those elements in terms of the upcoming release. So Tom, who's joining this call with us today, is our product manager for EasySPC. So we'll be talking us through the next batch of developments that are due for release imminently, as well as potential future developments, of which we're of course looking to get your feedback for that as well. It's really valuable that we do continue to get all of your great feedback in regards to what's working well in EasySPC and also what's not working quite as you'd like, or what could we do to improve EasySPC going forward as well. And I'm excited to do a short demo for you today and some of those improvements that we've made in light of the upcoming release. And we will also finish off with a quick Q&A session at the end too. So get your questions ready for that session. And yeah, without further ado, I will hand over to Tom.
Great, thanks Oliver, and yeah, good afternoon everyone, or good morning wherever you're dialing in from. So yeah, as Oliver said, the theme of today's release is absolutely about, today's forum, sorry, is absolutely about the new release of EasySPC, which is in progress at the moment. So yeah, we actually the latest version has been approved by Microsoft now and is just working its way through the Microsoft process. So will be published on the App Source library within the next few days, all being well. So yeah, really good news. So yeah, but really, first of all, we just want to talk to you a little bit about what's going to be included in that, when it'll be available, and what, if anything, you need to do to get access to it. So first of all, we'll talk a little bit about some new improvements we've made to EasySPC as part of this release. So if you could just jump to the next slide, please, Oliver. Great, thank you. So I think the first bit to sort of say here is, that all these changes that we've made to EasySPC are in direct response to feedback that you've told us about, and you've contacted us to let us know about things you'd like to see. So I think first of all to say, thank you very much for that. All the feedback is super valuable. I can't emphasize that enough. So please keep doing that. It gives us the fuel we need to know to how how to develop the product going forward. So in terms of this release, you can see there's sort of 5 sort of key areas there that we've key pieces of feedback we've addressed as part of this latest release. There are a few other little bits and pieces as well, but that should give you a sort of high level of the big things. Oliver's going to demo this all shortly, so don't worry about understanding all that completely if there's a lot to read there. But I think just to call out of a couple of the key ones there, I think that top one about the x-axis being unreadable, loads of you have told us about that. So that was a real high priority for us as part of this release to address that. As well, the being able to see the sample size as well on the x-axis, again, that was something that we've heard about quite a lot, so we are really keen to get that in. So yeah, that's the sort of high level improvements we've been made. And as I say, Oliver will demo all that in a couple of minutes. Alongside that, we've also made a bunch of bug fixes to little glitches that you helped us spot within the product. Again, I won't read through all of these. All of this will be in the release notes that will go out alongside the product. But if you have spotted or reported a bug to us, hopefully it's listed there and has been fixed. if you have told us about a bug or a glitch that isn't listed there, then it's either something that we haven't been able to fix. There's often technical constraints around how Power BI works that can sometimes mean we're a little bit restricted in what we can do. It might not be there because it's an edge case, or we believe it's an edge case. So we deprioritized it in favor of doing some more valuable, important things. It's not to say we won't get to it, but we obviously do need to prioritize things in our backlog. And it may not be there simply because that's how the system's actually designed to work. Sometimes things aren't completely intuitive, as much as we try and make them so. But again, something we recognise, and we are working on an FAQ at the moment that we'll be publishing. So if you do, that would be a good first port of call to help you if there's some of these unusual things, we say, in the product that might appear that they're not behaving as expected. So yeah, that FAQ will be out hopefully in the next couple of months, and will hopefully be a big help to everyone. So yeah, that's the bug fixes. And then the third category is we're actually launching a brand new capability within EasySPC as part of this release. This is something we're really excited about. And for those that attended the last forum, you may remember that we gave a sneak preview of this functionality. Essentially, you can see from the questions there that this new capability has been launched because we've heard from a few of our customers that as you start to roll out EasySPC and SPC at scale in your organization, the process of actually monitoring a whole host of indicators across multiple areas can start to throw up its own challenges. So number one is that it can start to become really time consuming to actually click through hundreds or thousands of charts individually to see what might be going on. And the risk of that is that if you're not doing that, which could be completely understandable, if you're not doing that every morning, there is obviously a risk that then you miss something. And I think for those that were on the last call, Tom Nicholas from Elft joined us and talked about some of the challenges around this that they've had at Elft. And one of the key ones there was around that missing, the risk of missing things, because again, quite often performance at an individual ward level can sometimes be masked when metrics are aggregated together to a top headline metric. So yeah, a challenge that ELF have certainly had, and something we wanted to address with this new capability. So again, you might also remember on the last forum, we asked for your help in naming this new capability. So drum roll, please. We just jump onto the next slide, please, Oliver. So I'm pleased to introduce and announce we're launching EasySPC Spotlight. So yeah, firstly, thank you for everyone that sort of helped contribute to the name. We had lots of great and interesting and creative suggestions. In the end, we've gone with Spotlight, and primarily because at its core, a Spotlight is a tool that helps a user focus attention on a particular area, and that is exactly what this new capability is designed to do. So again, Oliver's going to demonstrate this in a second, but just to give you a high-level overview, Spotlight provides that overview across multiple indicators and locations, all on a single page, as you can see. And then within the UI, it then highlights or shines a spotlight on any areas or indicators that are in special cause that you might want to focus your attention and dig a little deeper into. So that's the big new thing. With that, I'll hand over to Oliver now, my glamorous assistant, who's going to give a quick demo of all that and some of the new stuff.
Cheers, Tom. Okay, so I've just switched screen now, and for those of you who are familiar, which I'm sure all of you are, just showing Power BI desktop now on my screen. So what we can see is the discharge rates on a C chart for all departments currently, and that's what we're looking at. As you can see, we're performing fairly well in this particular one. That there's no special cause, etc. Which is great. So on the face of it, you might say, okay, there's no special cause, everything's fine, we're way within the control, and it's very close to our center line. Everything is in control, which it seemingly is across all the departments of discharge rate. So what we've now introduced, as Tom mentioned, with EasySPC Spotlight, is a new icon in the top right, where you'll see this spotlight icon, assuming that you have a license to do so. which you can click on. I'll just pause there as well. You may have seen and noticed for those of you with an eagle eye that as part of the new improvements, we've also got some new iconography here in the top right to reflect that, and a homepage button, which takes you directly back to the EasySPC homepage, which will hopefully make things a little bit easier for you going forward as well. But ultimately, what I can now do is I can click on this spotlight icon, and what it will do is it will bring me a tabular holistic view of our data, not just for the chart we were looking at, which was all departments discharge rate, and showing you the department, in this case, an indicator that we're looking at, the latest date the data point is referring to, whether that data point is showing special cause or not. If you're using making data count methodology, then you can bring in those making data count icons too as part of a column. Related to annotations, center lines, etc. as part of that. Now, as Tom was alluding to there, when we were viewing the original SPC chart, we have no special cause across all departments. But actually, when we take a step back and look at the discharge rates across the other departments as well, there's around 8 departments, and 3 of those are actually showing special cause. So what this spotlight tool is designed to do is shine a light on those departments and those areas where you need to focus attention on. So now, as maybe a ward manager, a clinician, an exec, someone who wants that overview and the oversight of what's happening across the system, you can start at a view like this with Spotlight, and from here you can understand which areas and departments are in special cause or not, and those which are in special cause, you may then want to drill down and drill through into that specific chart. So now we're looking at the cardiology discharge rate chart, and what we might want to do is various things like recalculate limits or adding annotations from here, and making those changes, for instance, which will then reflect back on it. And I can quickly do that now. So I might just do a recalculation of limits, and I might want to annotate and just sort of say everything now going well, or example of an annotation there. And then when I come back to Spotlight, we can now see that annotation is now appearing. We can see the new center line has appeared here as well. Just to reiterate sort of the capability of Spotlight as well. So right now we're looking at discharge rate across all departments, but these are multi-select filterable. So we can show all, for example, and we can see all the departments and all the indicators and how we're performing across all of these. Or we can show just a special cause and filter for just show me the ones which are showing special cause. And if you were in charge of this particular ward department, and please bear in mind that these filters are up to you in regards to when you're creating reports. What would you like to filter by? In this example, we've chosen departments and indicators. You could have projects and measures, you could have localities, you could have whatever you need it to be, really. But then you're able to filter by them as well. So if I was interested in the cardiology unit, I could filter to the cardiology and see all the indicators for cardiology. And again, you probably have around 50 different indicators for each department and ward. We've only got 4 in this example. So yeah, we're really excited by this tool, and what we think that this can bring as well. Some of the other things that I'll just quickly mention as well, as Tom alluded to, some of the other settings we've introduced. So on the x-axis, if I just quickly switch to another chart type, in fact, I won't do that, sorry. I've clearly been messing around with this demo beforehand, so apologies for that, but I can still show the same use case anyway. So on the x-axis now, what you're able to do is, as default, it will show a date for each data point, as you'd probably expect. But if you wanted to change that, you can simply change that here by changing the number. So by selecting 2, I'm now showing for every 2 data points, 1 date value effectively. So we call that showing every nth on the label on the x-axis. Equally, if I want to do every 5 or whatever it may be. So you've got the full flexibility to change how that x-axis is displayed and how many dates or times that you'll see on the x-axis. In addition to that, you can also display the nth value on the axis as well, assuming that you're using the appropriate chart type. So a U or a P chart, then you will be able to show the nth value I'm actually using a C chart now, so I wouldn't be able to display that. But this is an example on the discharge rates here on the bottom left. I'll just expand that out, where we have added that EMF value here too. So if I just quickly show you that there. So we've got that switched on. If I switch it off, you can see that we just get the date format. If we switch it back on, we get the brackets of the actual values of those two. So that's something else that we brought in. A couple of the other little things that we brought in as well. One of them is the value, the data point itself. We've had some feedback that some organizations like to use different visuals as opposed to circles. So as instance, so you can now change these to a diamond or a square as well, or also no marker. Some organizations, again, have said, actually, we don't need the data points on it themselves. So you've got the full flexibility to change those as it suits you as well. And something else which is being asked for quite a lot was there was some feedback that the direction of travel arrow has been a little confusing and a bit complex, especially for end users to understand when they're looking at the charts. The fact that it can sometimes change direction or color, and that's all based on the way the data has been displayed. We have now added an additional option now as default. So right now, if you create an EasySPC chart, what will happen is it will default to what we call static, which is what a lot of you guys have been asking for in terms of we set the arrow to up is good, and the arrow will always point up now. No matter what happens with your data, whether you recalculate your baselines or not, the arrow will always point up if you choose it to do so, or down if you choose it to point down. Alternatively, you can switch it to dynamic, which will send it back to the previous ways EasySPC has always worked, where you'll have the arrow changing in both color and direction depending on the way your data has been displayed. So hopefully that's some good news for you as well. And I think this is going to be more permanent for some of our non-healthcare customers in regards to specification limits. So we've now introduced a capability in EasySPC to add specification limits as measures here. So you can see that we've now got specification limits plotted on the chart too. You can add control limits as you would usually would as part of that too, if you'd like to, and switch them on. If you'd like to, not everyone would in these situations. Where I think it may also be useful for healthcare is if you you can obviously add a target line right now. You may also want to add additional benchmarking goals or other metrics that you want to track against. So this might be a way to do that here as well in terms of the USL and LSL. The reason why I say that is you can change the name and the label of these, so it doesn't have to say USL, for example. It could say benchmark, it could say goal. It might be a neighboring organization that you're comparing yourself to, and you might want to put their name there just so you can say, well, this is what they've been doing in this particular metric, for example, as well. So I thought I would share that with you. And that, I believe, it is the end of my demonstration. And I will hand back to Tom.
Myself off mute. Yeah, thanks, Oliver. That's great. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, well, that's the release. We've covered there what's new. So yeah, as you can see, there's quite a lot in this. This is quite a big release. So hopefully there's at least something in there for everyone. In terms of when will it be available? As I mentioned at the top of the call, we are going through the Microsoft certification process at the moment. We actually got the green light that we approved last night. So yeah, it's just waiting for the app to work its way through the Microsoft system onto the app source library. So yeah, they advise that'll be within 2 weeks, but it could be within the next few days. So watch this space on that. So what do you actually need to do to get access to it? I mean, some of you that have been using EasySPC for a while now, you'll know the answer to this, that it's nothing. You get it a whole lot. The new version will just appear in your apps library, and you'll start to be able to use all those new features and the bug fixes immediately. The only difference here is for the spotlight, for that spotlight capability. So if that is something that that is a feature that needs to be enabled for your license. So if that is something that is of interest, you'd like to either get another demo, a more detailed demo, or arrange a trial for that, please reach out to your account manager. They'll be able to arrange that, and also to be able to discuss the commercials around that as well. Okay, so that's this release. So if we move on to the next slide, please, Oliver. So the next question is, well, what's next? What does the future development roadmap look like? Well, so the answer to this is we are reviewing the backlog at the moment and planning what we're going to work on next. We'll be able to come to a future forum to give you an update on what we actually expect to be in the next release, when we expect that release to be available, but also how you can feedback and on any ideas and features we've got ahead of them going into production. Now there was going to be a bit of an experiment today where we were going to ask for your feedback on what you thought were the most important things as a group. And the experiment was going to be, we were going to basically run a poll in the chat across those features. Now, Rowan, is the poll working? We were having a few technical problems just before we joined the call.
No, sorry, we'll follow up after.
Right, no problem. Thanks, Rowan. Okay, so that's put the kibosh on that particular experiment. But yeah, as Rowan says, we'll follow up separately to this, because in all seriousness, it would be great to get feedback from the wider group on what you think is the next most important thing. So the features that are listed on the page there, these are things that, again, you've told us about, or individual users have told us about. So what we want to do is to figure out which of those things are the most valuable to you as a wider group, and where as a group we're going to get the most value from our development efforts. So yeah, we'll follow up and do, I don't know exactly what it'll be, but we'll follow up with something on that that gives you the chance to input and have your say or your vote on which of those things on the page you'd most like to see in the next release. Full disclaimer, I can't guarantee at this stage if or when any of those things will be available, but it is in all seriousness, again, this is really valuable feedback to help inform our product roadmap and help to guide us where we should be focusing our efforts. Great. Okay. So we'll send that round in some form afterwards. The next thing, actually, Oliver, if you could just jump onto the next slide for me, please. App source reviews. Yeah, so another quick favor to ask, actually, of the group, if it's okay. So we've got a team objective this quarter, actually, which is to try and build up a few more reviews on the Microsoft App Source. Why is that important? Well, for one, more reviews mean that we essentially get more downloads. More downloads mean then that our BCM board get more excited about the demand for EasySPC. And that then means that we get more investment in the product, which then more investment then means that we can do more quickly, get more things built and more value into your hands. So yeah, in a roundabout way, that's me saying that, yeah, if you'd help us out by adding some reviews, it will come full circle and hopefully benefit you all in the long term as well. So if you could spare a couple of minutes, we'd really would appreciate you taking the chance to just, click on that link, and perhaps we can post that in the chat. Just leave a quick review. So there's the option to leave comments, but don't worry about if just leaving us, if I know you're time pressed, so just leaving a star rating is just as good. Obviously we prefer positive feedback, but negative feedback is fine also. But if you have got any feature requests or things you'd like to see us do differently, or things different in the product, we do have the EasySPC support ideas mailbox, so you can reach us again at any time on that. As you've hopefully seen from the talk, we do monitor that, we do action the feedback we get. So please do continue to provide your feedback via that means. Okay, I think that's everything from my perspective. I will post those couple of links in the chat now. But hand back to Oliver for any questions.
Yeah, sure. So we've finishing a little ahead of time at the minute. But I'll open the floor up. Are there any questions for anyone who is attending right now? Feel free to just unmute yourselves and ask any questions. I'll pop them in the chat. Otherwise, happy for you to get 10 or 15 minutes back of your time in your busy days. doesn't have to be questions, comments, any feedback from what you've seen today or heard or anything else. Feel free to shout out. And again, if you are on the recording today as well, and you've seen any of those potential new features which you're particularly interested in, do let us know, either directly to myself, Tom, or your account managers, or the EasySPC ideas at bcn.co.uk email address would be the best place to go. But yeah, any of those forms would be great. As Tom keeps alluding to, yeah, your feedback's very valuable, and what's made things like Spotlight possible. But okay, if there's no questions, I guess we'll leave it there and give you all 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes back of your time. Thank you.